All right, it is Wednesday, August 14th. The time is 4:30 p.m. And call this meeting to order, the Fire Station Building Committee. Roll call, please.
Joe Ulick,
Present.
Mike Julian,
Present.
Mike Langevin,
Present.
Dave Langevin,
Present.
Jeff Matthews,
Present.
and John Shugda, all are here.
All right, I know that I got the minutes out late, but was there anything that anybody saw in the minutes, the July 17th minutes? Any errors, corrections?
Make a motion, we accept.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Joe, who accepted that?
Mike Langevin and
Okay.
Jeff was the second.
Thank you.
All right, item number 3, review and approval of action of development for project to include but not limited to update on the closeout of Worcester Street and Snow Street properties demolition project. I don't know if we want to have a quick discussion. I know, Rick, you had answered Jack's email earlier that we received an audit from a financial firm that's auditing. I don't know whether it's a required audit for Costello or something they're doing on their own, but have you had a chance to look at that at all?
No, I have not, Mr. Chairman, but it's fairly customary for general contractors and contractors to do, if not annual audits, and they generally hire an accounting firm for that, or it could be their bonding company. I haven't reviewed it, but I'll fill out the information and send it back to them.
Okay. All right. Anything else on Worcester Street and Snow Street properties? Jennifer, did you get everything that you were looking for from them?
So, very close, in all honesty. If you wanted to release, the only thing that I think it would be okay to release, but I did just ask, I looked, we've had some vacation issues and stuff, but I did look back. Brennan reviewed the last survey. That's what we were holding out on. The last survey that was submitted to us from the original surveyor, Levesque. And there is the sign for the car dealership is still showing on the survey. Very minor thing, but that is still showing. And the extents of pavement, asphalt pavement, were unclear on the survey. We asked Joe and copied Alex if Joe could make that, Joe Levesque could make that update so that it would be, right and perfect moving forward into the next project. If it's not, for whatever reason, we can make adjustments on our drawings for those 2 items moving forward. We aren't a surveyor. If you wanted in hand an actual correct survey, those are the 2 little things. So I don't know how we feel about that. We kind of batted around here. Is it really worth holding things up for those 2 items? And it's not super important, but it would be nice to get it right.
Okay, so I guess my question to, I guess, both you and Rick is, does that fall under the scope of services for Costello in the contract?
Yes, they owed a survey at completion of their work, a proper survey. So they did get, a licensed surveyor to do that work, but we noted these 2 items that were not right.
Okay. All right. So I say that we continue to hold it because they need to do it if it was under their scope of services. Anything else on that? I will make a quick update on the Snow Street properties. Those of you who have noticed by driving by, there is less vegetation on the site. There was a miscommunication with the DPW about when things were going to happen at that site. As far as the lilac that was supposed to be moved in some form to the family of the former owner. It was taken down. It was dumped over the side of the town dumping spot. Before I went on vacation, I rappelled down the side of that ravine, and I was able to secure some pieces, root pieces of the lilac, and did get them to the family. With my apologies to them because of the way things went down, but they were satisfied with what we provided them. But yeah, there is at this point essentially no vegetation left on the site now.
Joe, I
Yes.
thought we just had to worry about a pear tree or something.
So the pear tree was the main concern. They were also interested in the lilac bush that was to the left of the house, and it had been left intact. And the intent was over the summer to go up there and take some of it out. And with this this miscommunication that went on, everything got cut down at once. So
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else on Worcester and Snow Street budget update, I apologize that just about 20 minutes before the meeting, I had pushed out some stuff that Rick forwarded to me. We had a fire call right before the meeting, and this was new information to me. So there is a new budget update. Did you have a chance to pull it out of your email or no?
I
I got
didn't.
mine.
Okay.
I didn't.
I pulled it up briefly, though, really briefly.
All right. So Rick can go over it, but basically what you have there, it shows a very large negative number. The caveat to that is there has been all the subtractions for grants and state funding and all those things are not currently in it. So go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I can pull it up if you'd like. It's not a new budget. It's a rendition of the budget that was presented to the committee in April. And then we just made some changes to, not financial changes, but clarity changes, so that the USDA could see what our budget looked like without any other funding mechanisms in it. And if you'd like, I can pull it up. Just bear with me for a second.
In the end, they don't end up showing up well on the screen, so everybody has it in their email and can review it afterwards. So if you're saying that there's been no changes, it's just showing more in line with what the USDA was requiring of us.
Yeah, basically what it shows is, because it shows the before any funding, and we added escalation from December of 2023 to December of 24. We were over budget, and this budget spreadsheet is based upon the low bid that was received in December of last year. It shows we're over budget by just under $6.2 million. And then if you look at the sources, the additional sources, there's $1 million in free cash that's been allocated to the project. There's the original USDA grant of $913,000, which I'm assuming is still available.
Correct.
What appears to be the new USDA grant of $1 million. And I think the state promise for $250,000, is that still valid?
That one it's in the early stages of legislation, which gets cut and trimmed and everything. So it's a potential, but at this point, it's nothing that we can count on.
Okay, well, I've added it into, not on that spreadsheet, but my numbers I have here. so between the free cash, the 2 USDA grants, and the additional 250 from the state, we have $3,163,000 of monies to put towards the shortfall. So that leaves us with a shortfall of just over $3 million, $3,026,000. That's, we're back to where we've been discussing a number of times, but the budget spreadsheet that we've provided to you there is what was provided to the USDA grant foundation when they were asking where our finances were. I wanted you to have a copy of that.
Yep. And at this point, then, the most pressing hurdle for us is to have the cash on hand to potentially award the contract moving forward. As far as, we'll just discuss this in the budget. The Monday, I received a notification from the Senate Appropriations that we have are not being included. The additional $4.5 million that we requested through federal funding for the next federal fiscal year. They basically said, thanks for playing no. So we have no further federal funding coming down the pipeline at this point. And I had reached out to the USDA rep prior to my first vacation. Rick and I had a meeting with her, and there was some discussion. I think I brought everybody up to speed about that, is that they were looking to potentially reassign the scope so that they could just allocate the funds to us for the purchase of the property. I did reach out to her last week and then again today, and I have not gotten a response to see if there's any change in that, because if there's a change in the scope of the project, I have to change the scope of the package, the application package that gets submitted, and I can't do that until she tells me which way we're going with this, and whether we have to do it as I have it presented as part of the construction process, or whether it can be, the scope can be adjusted to be just the purchase of the property, which they would allocate the funds right away. So we're hoping that that's the case, but until I get an answer from that, I don't have any more information about it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might, I'm surprised they haven't got back to you, only because they sounded very eager, aggressive in our last call. And
Correct.
just I'm not sure if we discussed it at our last committee meeting, but if they apply those funds towards the acquisition of the land, that $1 million, that means that the drawings and specifications do not have to limit the project to buying America.
Correct.
And we talked about this before. If we have to accept the funds and it goes towards the construction dollars, then the entire project has to be Buy America classified, and that becomes an issue with some of the project specifications and some of the things that have been identified. And I don't have direct experience with it, but it's my understanding that the costs for the construction have a tendency to go up because it limits the pool of resources the contractors can buy for their products. So in other words, you can't use drywall from China. You can't, so any of the equipment, mechanical equipment, all has to be U.S. produced. So I was hoping that they were going to, it sounded as if they were really headstrong in that direction and that it was going to be a slam dunk for you. I'm sorry that they haven't gotten back to you.
Yep, I will continue to follow up with that. All right, anything else that we need to discuss in the budget?
Well, I don't know. I think we should really strategize on this if we go out to bid or not. I don't know. I'd like to have KBA's opinion on this because we've gone through some extra measures to try to refine the site work and make the information a little bit more palatable for the bidders. So I'm thinking that's going to drop the bids. We're hearing on the street that things are starting to lean up, and more contractors are looking for work, which means that the bids get to be more competitive. Uh, the pre-qualification process, which has started, yielded some. We got our information in today. Hold on one second. I'm just trying to see if I can get the summary.
I believe there were over a dozen general contractors that submitted.
I couldn't understand you, Jennifer. I'm sorry.
I believe there were over a dozen general contractors that
Yeah,
had put
I had-
in their recalls.
I think there was 13 general contractors and at least 4 subs in each filed subtrade.
Yeah.
So that's good. But the only risk that we have is that if the numbers come in similar to what they did last December with escalation tacked on it, we're over budget, and we're in the same position we were last December, only a year later.
My first question would be, is going through this pre-qualification process, the last time when we did it, the information was good for 120 days past the bid. What if we chose not to go to bid? What would be the impact of the information from this point?
I think from the time that we analyze the information, I think we have 3-4 months where that material is still considered to be valid. If I remember correctly when talking with the AG's office.
Okay.
Joe,
Yes.
I thought I was under the understanding that we had enough money with the 1 million free cash, the 1.9 federal money, that we had enough to go out to bid.
So based on what we had, it showed that we had enough to move forward with the construction process if the bids come in good.
All right.
Obviously, securing the contract for construction is the major hurdle. If that falls into place, obviously we will have more time to continue to seek other funding, but being able to secure the construction contract is our hurdle. Because if, yes, there is a risk, and we can certainly have plenty of discussion about this, of the risk and benefit of this, but if we just sit on our hands, then costs are just going to continue to go up and we're at a standstill.
Correct.
So going back to Rick's comment, Jennifer, do you have an opinion at this point?
I think 3 million is a lot to overcome. It's hard. I mean, you only had 2 bidders last time, and maybe we'd be more favorable, but three is a lot to overcome. I'm not sure how to give a recommendation on moving forward or not. I'm sorry. I was hoping Michael would would be here today. Maybe he would speak up a little bit more, but I'm just not comfortable giving a recommendation right now with that $3 million outstanding.
Okay. I see that Rick jumped out of this. If there was a hesitation to move forward, what are the town's obligations on what we just put out for the pre-qualification project?
Rick,
Is that correct?
just jumped back in. I imagine, I believe it was five, I mean, he'll have to speak to that, but I don't know if you heard the whole question. I think that probably the $5,000 put forth to the pre-qualification process.
No, I'm not talking about the money
Okay.
process. What are is there a legal obligation based on the fact that we put out the request for qualifications? What, Rick, you hear me? Can you hear me, Rick?
I am personally not aware that you have a legal requirement to go put it out to bid, even if you had gone through the pre-qualification process, but I haven't run into that, so. I don't know.
Rick's
Can you hear me,
back
Rick?
on.
Oh,
Oh, now we lost him. You know what? If we keep doing this, though, nobody's going to bid on this thing. If I'm just frustrated as all hell right now.
I mean, that's one
Captain.
concern I've thought about too. Whether you stall here, if you move forward and go to bid and don't have money to sign the contract or move forward, I don't know. Contractors are going to get very frustrated with the whole
Yep.
project, and if they're going to want to bid again, if you want to go out to bid again, it's such a tough position to be in. That $4 million would have been very good. It's a tough place.
Captain, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking for a little bit of clarification from our last meeting, and maybe it's that 4 million that we didn't get. But I guess I thought I was under the understanding that when we did the extra soil samples and we got the extra million from free cash, that was going to be hopefully positive enough to overcome a decent bid. And I guess the tone and the attitude right now just seems a lot different from our last meeting. And I guess I'm a little discouraged that all of a sudden we went down that quick.
I agree.
So I guess I'm just not, maybe I'm missing something from the last meeting, but I thought we were in a better situation than we are right now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I fell off. I'm sorry
Right.
if can you hear me?
Yes. So where we
I'm
stand right now, that Rick was, the question is out there is, if we were to hesitate moving forward with the bidding process, do we have any legal obligations based on the pre-qualification submissions that we just received?
No, you do not.
But like I said, Rick, this is twice we go out for preliminaries. If we cancel again, there's not a construction company out there that's going to bid on this project. We keep canceling, and it's frustrating.
There's no doubt. I agree with you 100%. The numbers have not changed, and we have. And I'm sorry if this sounds negative. We've tried to express this at every meeting that we still are running a shortfall. And the reason I bring it up today is I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on that. Nothing has changed in the estimates. Nothing has changed in the budgets. It's the same budget that we've been looking at for this last 6 months. I just wanted to make it clear because in some cases I feel like I walk away from the meeting and folks are not hearing what's being said. So that's why I wanted to throw this out there today. It's just I want to make sure it's clear that given the resources that we have with the grants and everything else, this is where our budget is falling.
Joe, can I talk?
Yes.
I agree with what Jeff Matthews said. The last 1 or 2 meetings, we were led down the road that we had enough with the million in the free cash, and we got some extra federal money that we should have enough. And that's why we all voted to go out for preliminary bids again. It's disheartening to see that now again we're at a turn here, and I was led down the road, and I believe Jeff was too, but he can speak for himself, that we had enough to go out to bid and finally get this moving.
So neither KBA nor Pomeroy Associates said at the last meeting that when we heard at that meeting that the $4 million wasn't coming through, we didn't say, yeah, okay, you're good to go.
All right. So looking at this from an explanation point, and I guess I'm directing this to Rick. To secure the estimated construction cost that, what we saw was $22.6 million. And at this point, there's an estimation of an escalation of essentially 1.1. So that puts us at 23.7.
Right.
Correct.
So obviously the hurdle that we have not been able to cross is being able to have the adequate funds to secure that construction contract. If we're talking about 23.7, where are the other $3 million? Where are those floating for the future then? Where are those accumulated? In what line items are they accumulated?
Okay. I'll walk you through it. If you have the budget in front of you,
Yep.
you have soft cost, which are lines 42 through 56. The majority of those are yet to be expended, or they're still part of the budget. We have down the escalation that was estimated from December 23 to December 24, which was $1.6 million. $1 million. We have the expenditures. Now remember, this is a real-time budget. So this includes any money that's already been expended because we still have balance to the original appropriation. We have the demolition at Worcester Street. We have the demolition at Snow Street. The architectural engineering costs, the owner's project manager's cost, all of those line items tally up to the total budget. Some of those have already been expended, but we're still looking at a real-time budget.
So then
you
why
follow
did
what I'm saying?
then Rick, why did we go out for preliminaries then? If this was the case, why?
We're going out for pre-qualification. Okay,
Yeah.
that's to qualified contractors who are interested in bidding it. And what we said at the last couple of meetings was, I forget who had made the direction to begin the pre-qualification, but the goal was to try to get all the contractors pre-qualified for the fall while still additional funds were being sought. what we had said at that time was that that process is going to take 6 weeks or so. So in that period of time, what we were saying was it's going to take us 6 weeks to do it. If you wait to start that in the fall, then you won't be out to bid until December or January. So the theory was that there was going to continue to seek funds during that period of time as best as possible. The we don't know what the site cost savings will represent, but we're going on the hunch or the feeling that bids will be more competitive now that that site work information is available, but the exact dollar value is uncertain.
What was our last bid for the building? The general contractor, what was that? A little over 20?
The last low bid was 22,300,000.
22.6.
What was
Yep.
it, Joe? 22?
22.6.
22, 536, 72, 727.
All right, so we had approved from the town of Southbridge 25.7. Our last meeting, we expended just a hair over 5 mil. That leaves us 20.7. You add the million in free cash, that's 21.7. You add the 1.9 for the federal government. That brings us up to, Joe, your number of 23, and I forgot what you said. So why I'm not getting why we don't have enough to go out for bid.
Soft costs end up being a good chunk of money, not quite a third, but a good portion of the project cost. So beyond that 22 million construction cost, there are a lot of soft costs too to be concerned with. One clarification which may help. The decision to go out to pre-qualify was done 2 meetings ago. The loss of the 4 million, I believe, was reported at the last meeting. Obviously, $4 million is.
Yeah, but we've never had that $4 million. I never thought we had it. I don't think there's anyone on this committee that thinks the $4 million was in play.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd love to hear from John. I'd love to hear from Mike. I'd love to hear from someone besides me. Maybe I'm wrong, and there's a possibility, but I just don't see it. I thought we had enough to go out to preliminaries. That's why we did it. That's why we made the vote.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, right now I'm exactly with Jeff and Mike. Again, this to me is dumbfounding because we did say we were pretty secure with continuing the process. I know I said numerous times, I don't want to keep on spending wasteless money and and just look at an open lot, but keep on pissing away money. And and again, I'm with everyone else so far. We were led to believe we were safe and secure. That's why we voted for we're going to start the pre-qualification. We start the pre-qualification. We get it done sooner. That will help for the bid. Everything. I mean, I don't know what's changed in 3 months. I just don't get it. It's frustrating because I know we all want to get it done. Absolutely. But when it's going to be the word, but it's a wrong word. I just feel like from last meeting to this meeting, now we're blindsided saying we don't have enough money all of a sudden.
Yep.
I mean, it's, and Jeff and Mike are right now. That's what we're led to believe. We really were led to believe that. So that's why he said, okay, let's move forward with the pre-qualifications. Let's get that going. And hopefully with everything, we'll be all set to go. And yeah, that's with the town council, which we are grateful for them, to come up with another $1 million. And that was going to put us right where we just about needed to be.
Yep.
So I don't know about you, but I believe every member on this remembers all those conversations. So it is very frustrating.
I'm sorry that this is Rick. I'm sorry that you feel that way. This is exactly why I presented this budget. These numbers have not changed. I have been trying to press that we're still short. And I don't know, I don't know what to tell you. I walked away from our last conversation thinking that people just weren't getting it. So I presented this budget again. This budget has not changed since I think January, other than I added some clarification columns for the USDA.
Joe.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Why would I have voted to go out to preliminary without us not having the conversation that we had enough money? We voted to go. It was going to cost us more money to go out for pre-qualifications for everyone, the architect, the building guy, everyone was more money. If we didn't have enough money, why would we have voted to go out? It was told to us that we had 23 point something million dollars. It's not right. It's not right.
Rick, my next question is, can you offer some information onto the fact of looking at the other soft costs, the other things, the other $3 million, at what points, what would be the rough estimates of disbursements on those? How quickly would we be accumulating costs on the soft side?
I'm pulling it up. The areas that we would be talking about would be the equipment, the furniture, communications equipment, network, those types of things. And they would come into play, about, we would want to have commitments in place by midstream in the project, at least, at a minimum. Those would be the lines that we talked about, 46 down to 55.
All right, so there's obviously some other significant things from starting at right at line 29, some significant items in there of soft cost miscellaneous, of reimbursables, and
Yeah, it's not $3 million worth though.
Joe?
so before I go there, David, as far
Yep.
as the real budget, Rick, the live part of the budget, looking at items like design development, construction development, those are all items that are already expended, correct?
That's correct.
Except for maybe one of those invoices, I believe. I think that might be on your.
Yeah, there's a few invoices for tonight, but
Yep.
is there a way that we can separate this more to see what would still be out there? Obviously, we're
Yes.
spitballing a number of 23.7 for construction maybe, and then we have a bunch of items that are already paid for. So what are the still pending items? Obviously, we're talking about the firematic equipment. I get those items. So where
Yep.
are the rest of these soft costs that are still pending?
Yes. I can provide you with a expended to date column and balance to fund column.
One large value line item is line 25 for construction administration, for instance, which is your design professionals administering, you know, all the various activities during construction. Site visits, submittals, you know, reviews of things, questions from contractors. It's a good item.
And those are deliverable costs on a monthly basis, something along those lines?
Yeah.
David, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, either you, Joe, or Rick, or Jennifer can. And I remember one meeting, and I mean, we all went back and forth and stuff. And I know it's not going to make up the $3 million difference, but when we appropriated more money to do the ground soil testing and stuff, and hopefully potentially save us one with, we can dump this fill into our own area, and then we can also, hopefully with the bids, this will come in better in our favor for the contractors, far as how much fill they would need and stuff like that. Did we ever get it? We didn't get any exact number on that, right, or anything? If I could be wrong.
Correct. We don't have an exact number on what that savings might be. You know, we don't have the breakdown from the bids that we received before to know what their site value was.
Yeah.
How to compare that to if we gave you a new site estimate today. So you don't have a number for that. We hope that there is a savings there. We think there will be. I don't know if that's going to approach something like a great number like 1 million or something. I don't know what that number could be.
No, and I agree, but it's more towards my point. We appropriate more money for something that we don't have any answers to. And the point is, why are we keeping on appropriating money and chasing the rabbit down the hole? We really are chasing a rabbit with no results.
All right, I'm gonna step in here. Those funds were expended to have a better idea of what's there. Until somebody submits a bid, we're not gonna know what that estimate is. On top of that point, at the last meeting, I believe it was Rick that identified that the environmental, whether it was Ty and Bond or whoever it was, but had given preliminary indications that the option that we had for a local site, that the materials could not go there. So that was another downside to this. So I understand the frustrations of the monies that we've expended to identify these things, but they're expended. There's nothing that's going to change that. And there is more information that could make the bids better, but until they show up and sharpen their pencils or whatever they're going to do, we're not going to know what the impact is going to be. John.
I think one of the things that we also looked at was the building code changes for 2025. I got a
Correct.
feeling, that played a big factor in what we were talking about. And, Mike Julian was explaining to us how this could affect our price, our bids as it is, So, you got a lot of different things going on, and how we got to this point. But, I'm just reading back on some of the notes and how the building code might change some of our bids. So,
That is true. That's a factor with the timeline. You know, obviously, the earlier you go to bid, the less escalation you have to deal with, and the potential of building code changes impacting the project. Design fees potentially to look at and deal with building code changes is, you know, is another thing that we haven't even touched yet. So going out to bid sooner rather than later is good for reasons, for many reasons.
Following up on that, Jennifer, what was the impact of the mechanical? I know that you said that based on the change in the refrigerants that there was going to be an impact. Do we have any idea of what that impact was at this point?
We don't have an exact idea of the impact, but they told me that the equipment, my engineers told me that the mechanical equipment change should be hardly any impact financially, you know, to the budget. It's like picking a different model, but it's like the same footprint. It's almost the same thing. So they were telling me that I shouldn't expect a change in cost related to that. We are still trying to finalize whether there's any electrical impact. Changing of mechanical equipment has an electrical change to it. So our team has that still on their radar, and I've been trying to get confirmation of whether there's any electrical impact. And unfortunately, I don't have that answer right now. We think it's going to be good news, but they don't have it confirmed. Not good news in savings, I guess. I mean good news in not additional changes and increases in cost and design.
All right. Does anybody else have any comment before we go any further? All right. Seeing none. Jennifer, is there anything else on the site soil classification? Is there any additional information on that?
No additional information, just information provided to Rick and Ty and Bond so Ty and Bond could potentially get out there and do the testing. I don't know, Rick, if I feel like some of that had already been approved for them to go out and do some additional testing, but I can't say for certain.
And Rick, just following up with you, I know you had mentioned when I asked about the agenda itself to make sure that there was something on there. Was there something else that you need to add as far as the soil is concerned?
No, the only area that we were hoping to gain some more information on was the natural material that resides in the area of the residences. And we had discussed several months ago about doing several more tests now that we're free and clear of that area, to absolutely confirm the condition of that soil. It's something that does not have to be done, but the soils engineer recommends that qualifying that last section will help finalize what we've talked about over the last couple of months.
All right, based on what I've heard from members so far, I can't imagine that anybody is going to have the appetite to put additional dollars on the table for that to happen at this point.
I understand.
Am I correct in making that assumption?
Yes,
Members?
you are.
That's where I stand.
Same.
Okay. I've already addressed the USDA rural development, still waiting to hear back from them, see that update on future funding sources. That, based on what I've said, the Senate Appropriations has pulled this from the game, so that we have nothing else coming down the pipeline. We still have no one has come forward to do any additional fundraising for us. I stress for everyone to continue to think of people who might be interested and willing to do that for us, seeing as we can't. It's becoming very frustrating. I understand it's an ethical item, but when everyone's telling us that things are costing too much and no one's willing to step forward to help us find additional funding sources, when we know that there's potentially commercial funds out there, it's very frustrating. So anybody that you can think of that would be willing to assist us in that, we need somebody.
Joe,
Yes.
Joe, could you get a ruling from the state ethics? Could a firefighter,
We already went over this, Mike. Yes, it's potentially possible, but people that operate $1 million businesses are not going to are not going to be open to, a kid coming in looking for money. So yes, it is possible, but we're hoping that somebody else from, a well-known member of the community would be willing to step forward for us.
well, I don't see anyone jumping to that thing, so let's try to I'd rather have some kid go knocking on doors than no one knocking on doors.
Well, I can certainly entertain the floor for that.
No, it can't be one of our members on the committee. It can't be. It has to be someone off of the committee. I went through this with Bay Path already.
Yeah, but I think what Joe's saying is he needs someone strong to lead. It doesn't mean they can't be involved somehow, people volunteering and stuff, but they need a strong leader, well known or something that has connections, because that's what it is, connection with businesses in the area that would, now we do know if we approach banks and different stuff, they would, but you just need that right person to go to.
And no one is stepping up for that. So
Yeah.
there's no right person right now. Let's just
Well,
try to
that,
get something is better than nothing.
yeah. Well, we can't give up
$500,000.
though.
All right, so I will continue my search for that and entertain some discussion with folks on the floor at the fire station. So with the pre-qualification process, obviously the bids were or the qualifications were submitted for today. There is a meeting scheduled for the pre-qualification. Rick, that was Tuesday,
Monday at 2.
Monday at 2. From the members that were interested. Based on the discussions so far, where do we stand with this, Rick? I mean, do we go through with it?
The documents, all of the documents have been submitted by the contractors. And we can take our time going through the pre-qualification process and drag this out a bit. And with the hopes that there's another push for if there's any funding in any location, then we can get through. There's no more work for the contractors to do at this point. They've submitted all their documentation. I would say continue moving forward with the pre-qualification and make that decision as to whether or not you go out to bid. After the pre-qualification is done, there's work that KBA needs to do to get the documents ready. And So it's a process. And this is what we tried to describe before, is that in order to get that wheel moving, we need to start the process needs to start. If you just want to not move forward, we can suspend everything, and, table it. But it's my understanding that in our discussions in our last two meetings is that we wanted to get the process going.
I think we're all in agreement to that. But if we don't have enough money at the end, what's the point? We're just spending money.
That's
Hey,
true.
Rick, as far as the documentation part of it, I guess we can talk about it at this point. Jennifer, you had submitted the scope of services with the discussion that we had at the last meeting that was not to exceed $2,000 for this. As far as the preparation of documents as opposed to what's on the exclusions list, can you explain that?
Preparation of the documents to go out to bid, the separate issue, or is it something on the proposal that you're reading? I'm sorry.
So on the proposal,
Okay.
like Rick is talking about preparing the pre-qualification documents, but in item 4, there's 3 exclusions. How are those going to play?
Yes.
Where are those going to be factored in?
Okay, so the exclusions, the first one is preparation of public notices before and after the process. So it was just a formality for me to say KBA is not doing that preparation of public notice thing. That's already the before has already happened. I think Rick probably did that or helped with that process. So we anticipate that however it happened before pre-quals to get the pre-qual started publicly, the same people are taking that on, and KBA is not doing that.
All of the notifications have taken place. The only follow-up notifications would be after the pre-qualification process is complete, and there are letters that go out to each contractor and notices that go out to the central register, and all of that would have been taken care of by Pomeroy Associates.
Thank you. Yes, so KBA didn't do that previously. Pomeroy Associates did it for the first time, and we anticipated they were doing that all the second time. So that's what that part is about. Preparation of general contractor and subcontractor requests for qualifications, that's already done. Pomeroy Associates did the request for qualifications. I had written this up, honestly, was it 2 meetings ago? When it was first being discussed. I'm sorry now, some of this stuff is in the past, so that doesn't matter. Number 3 was preparation of notices to interested contractors and subcontractors for failing to pre-qualify or telling them their acceptance of pre-qualification. KBA did not do that work the last time we went through the process. Pomeroy Associates did. So we anticipated that Pomeroy Associates was doing those notifications. Is that correct, Rick?
That is correct.
Okay. So, yeah, it's just in time to cross all the T's and dot the I's.
And based on just so that everyone has all the information with this, part of this scope is that per Massachusetts 810 CMR 90904, you have to be part of the pre-qualification committee.
Yes, the design team does. Yep.
Okay. So moving forward with this, they have to be part of this. So this proposal is not to exceed $2,000 to complete the pre-qualification process with us. So
that is to complete KBA's involvement with the pre-qualification process.
Correct.
And it's hourly too, so we will have an accounting of hours. I'm sorry to interrupt, but so it's a not to exceed, but it could be less.
And Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, we were estimating the entire process to be $10,000, correct?
That's correct.
So with this proposal in front of me, I'd be looking to entertain a motion to change the scope. Is this a change or is this an additional this is just a change of scope of services, correct?
This is
It's an
what
additional service.
additional,
Service.
so there would be a
Okay.
contract amendment for this not to exceed the $2,000, and then we would have an accounting and send you invoices for that additional service.
Okay. So
Hey,
this
Joe?
would have meant, yes,
Sorry. Could I make a recommendation maybe to get together as a committee, only a committee right now, and really talk things out and try to and make the decision? Because, right, I would assume we're all bitter right now on the news that we're getting and stuff. So I think it's time that could have a meeting just as committee members and hash this
Person.
which way we want to go. And then if we want to proceed with the pre-qualifications, everything else, at least, and we talk in-house, we actually go in a room and us as committees and talk about everything. And then maybe come up with a brainstorm on something and then move forward, hopefully.
well, the problem that we're going to run into there is timing for things right now, because obviously we already have a tentative meeting scheduled for Monday. And if we were going to have that type of meeting, that would end up falling under an executive session so that we could have that discussion amongst ourselves. And I still need three days to post a meeting. So I don't know that we'd be able to get it in time prior to that meeting happening.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that meeting is is very fluid. If we want to push that off, that it's not going to impact the process. I feel that it would be very healthy for the committee to meet.
Okay. Chief.
Yep, just a quick comment on that. I'm sure the town manager would really want to be involved with this conversation, obviously being the fiduciary, and he has to work with the council to talk about money. So I think it's a good idea to regroup.
Yep.
All right. I will schedule something as quickly as possible. When would folks be available?
I'm available, pretty flexible, anytime you have to.
All right. Well, I'll make are we talking afternoon again as usual?
I can do it in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I can do it
All right.
anytime, morning, afternoon, whatever's good with
All
the
right.
committee.
All right. I will schedule something as soon as possible, as soon as I can get an agenda posted for that point. All right. So obviously, it sounds like we're not going to get a motion on this amendment to the scope of services. Jennifer, on the next agenda item, is there anything else that you need to add as far as additional information for the rebidding process, or what else the building code updates would entail?
I don't have an update on what the building code changes, might entail or might require of the project at this point. That would take some time and effort to address how or if it would impact our documents. So I don't have anything to report on that yet. Again, if we end up going to bid before, that would be good news on that front because that time and effort wouldn't need to be spent. We can talk at KBA about what kind of effort we believe that would take should we have to look at the new code. All I can tell you right now.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think it's important to get some sort of definition from the USDA grant. If the $1 million grant is going to impose Buy America, KBA needs to know that so that they know to how to modify their documents.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. I mean, that definitely would have an impact on the specifications. You want to know.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else there, we can move on to the invoices pending. The first invoice is a partial invoice for Stonebridge Press, and this was for the publications for the pre-qualifications. It does not have a specific invoice number, but it's dated 7/26/24 for Stonebridge Press, and our portion of this is $88.20. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. John, you're muted.
Joe Ulick,
Yes.
Mike Julian,
Yes.
Mike Langevin,
Yes.
Dave Langevin,
Yes.
Jeff Matthews,
Yes.
and John Schick, all in favor.
Hey.
Joe,
Yes.
I'd like to table the rest of the meeting until we regroup and talk about things, and then we can pay our bills accordingly. I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
Mike,
Yeah.
Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. It's open for discussion at this point. What I will say is that these are bills for things that have already happened, and regardless of what our regroup is, they are still payable invoices. So what I see in front of me is a little over $2,000 between two invoices.
I'll remove my motion. My second.
Well, at this point, there was already a second to it. Is there any other discussion on the motion to table the additional items? Captain?
Yeah, I just, to say what you just said, if these were services that were rendered regardless of what we talk about, we have to get them paid. So I say we move forward and vote on these invoices.
Joe,
Any-
waiting 1 week wouldn't mean the death of everything, though.
I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that these are for services incurred. I'm making sure that everyone is aware of that fact.
Correct. I would agree with you, but I think by waiting a week to pay these bills until we can all sit down as a committee, I think it's a good decision. If they have to wait a week for services rendered, it's not the end of the world.
Okay, point noted. Is there any other discussion on the motion to table the additional items? Seeing none, can I have a roll call vote on the motion to table the additional items? You're muted again, John.
Joe Ulick,
No.
Mike Julian,
Yes.
Mike Langevin,
Yes.
Dave Langevin,
No.
Jeff Matthews,
No.
John Schick, no.
Motion does not pass.
No. 4-2.
All right, so the next invoice that I have in front of me is Castle Booze invoice number 21041.00-18, dated May 29th, 2024. The invoice total is $1,840, and this represents a subcontractor, PMC, for soil services task number 2.
So
Is
moved.
there? Okay,
Second.
there's motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Joe Ulick,
Yes.
Mike Julian,
Yes.
Mike Langevin,
No.
Dave Langevin,
Yes.
Jeff Matthews,
Yes.
and John Sugden, yes.
Motion
Passes.
passes. Last invoice I have in front of me is again a Castle Bowes invoice number 21041.00-19. This is dated June 28th, 2024. This invoice is in the amount of $362.25. Again, on a subcontractor for the geotechnical consultant. Services provided in 2024. The remaining consultation, their fee was $315. So with the markup, it's $362.25. There a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Stephen, Jeff.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Joe Ulick,
Yes.
Mike Julian,
Yes.
Mike Langevin,
No.
Dave Langevin,
Yes.
Jeff Matthews,
Yes.
and John Sugden, yes. Motion passes.
All right. The only other thing would be the scheduling of the next meeting, which I have to confer with the town clerk of how much time I need to post the agenda. I believe it's 72 hours. So if I can get an agenda in for tomorrow, hopefully we can have the meeting Monday or Tuesday. So
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Langevin.
Second.
All those in
Who
favor?
second that, please?
I
Mike.
seconded
Okay,
John.
Mike Julian, okay. Second.
All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.